Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of the Anime Bros. I am your host Christian and my co-host Matt. Today we're going to talk about one of these, I think, vastly underrated animes, Elfen Lied, and kind of like share our opinion on what we think about the show. So for starters, Matt, what did you overall think of the show?
I enjoyed it. It's definitely one of those shorter animes. It's 13 episodes, and then they do have a one episode OVA. Um, the very first episode, like really the very first scene of the show, it kind of just blast off. A little backstory on the show. There's like this other race called Diclonius, and then humans kind of capture them and do experiments on them because they have these like special powers. And then they're also just the Diclonius are going out there like slaughtering a bunch of humans, so they kind of capture them, put them in labs, do experiments on them. So very first episode kicks off, main character Lucy, she like escapes and she just like slaughters a bunch of guards right off the bat. And it's pretty gory right from the start. Definitely a gory anime. But I kind of like that stuff. So just watching her like slaughter all those people at the beginning, I was kind of like captivated right away.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was actually like a pretty good watch. But unfortunately, when I was rewatching it again, I discovered that I guess in my hierarchy list of anime, I had it super high. And rewatching it, I was like, oh shoot, actually these anime that I had under it, I think are actually better than Elfen Lied was. So rewatching it kind of made me realize, which I thought was a good rewatch, but it also did make me realize that at the time that might have been one of the better anime that I've seen. But since then, I've seen like a lot more well put together anime, which caused it to drop. But at the same time, we have to remember this anime came out 15 years ago, 16 years ago.
You
So
started off by saying it was underrated, though, and now you're saying
it is underrated. It can be underrated, but still not be as good as I originally thought it was.
so. When you rewatched it, your original review that you marked down, you thought it was overrated.
No. The original review, it was still underrated when I watched it. It's like
But now that you rewatched it, you would give it a lower mark. You thought relative to Past Christian, you thought Past Christian was was overrating it.
he wasn't overrating it. It was just better at that time because I hadn't seen as many anime. It's
Okay.
like if I saw Elfen Lied and then let's say I saw like if you only saw Elfen Lied and Gantz, you'd be like, okay, well Elfen Lied is better than Gantz. I didn't even finish Gantz. But then if you saw like another 10 anime and those 10 anime just happen to be better than Elfen Lied, that doesn't make Elfen Lied not underrated. It just means
Okay. Yeah.
of course. So unfortunately, it does get a drop in my ratings. I dropped it down a little bit low, but still a very underrated anime that I would definitely didn't mind rewatching.
Yeah, I mean, I would rewatch it at some point. I enjoyed it. I did think it had some cool music. The opening theme, I actually watched that like every single time. I never skipped it. I thought that song was pretty cool.
So it was pretty
It was
cool.
kind of like
Good.
it was like kind of like some opera music or something. I thought it was pretty different for an anime to have an opening theme like that. And then I even thought the closing theme was pretty cool because it was like vastly different than the opening one. So I thought they had some like diverse music just from the opening and closing song.
Yes, and how dope was it that opening theme actually tied into his music box that was relevant to his childhood? I liked how they tied that together.
It was really just those two songs. That was like the only music they had in the show.
That's true. I mean, those are two very like symbolic songs. I feel like it had like there's a lot of symbolism in this anime.
Yeah.
I think that's like that Elfen Lied type trope is a mythological story or something like that. I think it does have some like um, symbolic connections to like older stories.
Mm-hmm. You want to get into favorite characters? Who'd you like in the show?
I mean, unfortunately, he didn't get a lot of screen time, but my dude Bando, like he did.
Bando, the SWAT dude.
Mm-hmm. I think he had the most personality, I think, out of everyone.
I wrote down one of his quotes while I was watching the show. Pull it up real quick. He says, "What does the fate of my balls have to do with the fate of mankind?"
That's true. Yo, yeah, when they gave him that hand, and he was like, "Oh, all I want is my balls." He's like, "How much can this lift? Oh, how much pressure can this take?" And I don't know why they didn't like ask for his payment up front. He said, "Fuck that." They had to get his arm three.
Yeah, I guess they wanted to like castrate him because he got touched by the vectors from
Mm-hmm.
Lucy. So I guess whenever that happens, it means the male is going to give birth to Diclonius. So
Yeah, because I think that's what happened to what was his name, Kawazawa or whatever it was.
uh,
He got touched by the Victors at number three, and that's how his baby came out like that.
yeah, which his baby his name was Kurama. I guess like the
Um,
Naruto person, the Nine
yeah,
Tails.
it was interesting though. So I wonder if I don't even know if there was a correlation with like being touched by the Victors and how many Victors the baby was going to have, because obviously I guess they counted the Diclonius based on based on like which one was born. So like his baby was the 35th one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just
Yeah.
like if my baby's born, they just go naturally stronger, or did it depend on like how many vectors or how long the vectors was inside of him that like created that Econius?
Well, Lucy was the first one, I believe, and she was one of the stronger ones. So because they kept regarding her as the queen. I think when I was looking it up, because I was kind of confused about where she like even came from. They didn't really.
Mm-hmm.
They went into her backstory, but they didn't really go into like her birth, like what her origin was. So they might in the manga, but in the show they didn't really go into that. So I wasn't really sure where she came from. But everything I was looking up, they regarded her as the queen. So I think she was like the first one.
Yeah, because I mean, even the president guy and his son, they wanted to procreate with her, not any of the other Decloniuses that came after, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, because I think that she was like the most pure Diclonius, whereas the other ones, I think they even gave them a different name. They were like celibates or something.
Syphilis.
So, yeah, so those were the ones that were born by human parents. So I think they weren't, I guess, pure bloods or pure breed. So I think they just
Mm.
wanted to reproduce with Lucy because whatever her origin was, I think she was the most pure.
That I guess it's a good interpretation because I can see no other reason why. Because otherwise, you want, well, either that or she was probably also the oldest. Because if you really think about it, like the ones after, especially what number seven, what was her name?
Earth.
Nana.
Oh, is that what number? Yeah, not that was. She was actually my favorite character.
What was she your favorite character?
I just felt like she actually had the saddest backstory, and then I just kind of felt for her because they're just like torturing her all the time, and then Kurama goes in there, and she's still just like, "Did I do good, Papa?" She's always just trying to like help him out, and I feel like this is something I wanted to talk to you about later, but maybe we can get into it now. Is whether like the Diclonius were like uh I guess trying to slaughter mankind right off the bat, or if it's because they were persecuted and tortured that kind of led to that hatred against mankind. But I feel like she still had like a pure heart. She was trying to be good.
She was
And
trying to be
and then
good.
when she just got like all her limbs chopped off by Lucy, I was like, oh damn, like she just
Lucy had to
got.
do what she had to do.
Yeah, dude, she got destroyed in that fight, but then she gets all those like fake parts and still kind of goes after her. So I kind of respected that. Like she still,
But
even though she got demolished by a stronger opponent, she's like, I still got to go after her for Papa.
I thought Papa told her like to leave her alone. It's like here's the money, go far away, live your happy life. And
Yeah,
then
he told her that, but she's like, if I actually bring down Lucy, like he'll be really proud of me. And she just kind of wants that acknowledgement because she's just been like kind of tied up in that lab. They're doing experiments on her all the time, torturing her, and the only thing she really wants is that recognition. So I kind of just I felt for her for that reason.
I don't know. I felt like she should have just been like, again, she didn't even know the difference between like Zen or like 500 yen and then the actual money that she had. And she was out there burning it. I was like, yo, come on now.
I
But
felt
then,
bad for her for that reason too. I mean, like she's literally just been isolated her whole life.
do you know what that means though? That means that Papa, who she called Papa, thought she had enough common sense to know what to use that money for. Because uh, I guess he could have explained
I
to her
don't know
what.
why you would think she would know what to do with it.
Uh,
The only life she knows is like being chained up, like, and then having experiments done on her vectors.
yeah, but it was like I'm pretty. So Papa basically was like, hey, like take this money, get off the island, or like go like live yourself a happy life. You definitely want to set her up for success. I find it hard to believe that if he didn't know that she didn't know anything about money, he probably would have told her what to use it for. He would have been like, hey, look, when you talk to people and they ask for something, this is what you give them. Uh,
Hey, I don't know. He didn't really tell her anything. He's just like, take the.
that's what I'm saying, though. He probably thought she had enough common sense to know not to set it on fire. Like no, what led her to believe that, like, hey, look,
I don't think that's on her. I think that's on Kurama for not telling her. Because why would you think that she would know what to use that for?
no. I'm not saying that she would think that she would know. Actually, I'm kind of saying that, like, if Kurama knew for a fact that she wasn't smart enough to like know how to use the money, he would have basically told her the definition of it. He wouldn't just hand it to her. Because then what's the difference between him handing her the money and then him handing her like some car keys, or if he would hand her a lamp, right? If she didn't know what anything was, he literally could have handed her anything and just set her on the way. But he specifically gave her money to survive, and I think that he thought that she had the common sense to know what that would have been used for. Um,
I think more so he thought like I don't really have time to explain how the world works. Like you got to get out of here now.
What do you mean? All he had to do was give it to her and say, "Hey, look, when you want something from somebody, you give them some of this." Well, let me finish.
Again, that's on him. I don't think that's on Nana.
What do you mean?
I think that's Kurama's fault, not Nana's fault.
I think it's kind of both of their fault. Like, if
If I give you something, you've been like chained up your whole life. You've only seen the same white walls. And then I release you, and I'm like, hey, here's a laptop. You're not gonna know. You might try and like bash someone's skull with the laptop. You don't know what a laptop does. You have no idea.
yeah, I might try to bash someone's. But like the thing is, that's a practical use for it. Like bash someone's skull, and you.
She was using it to keep warm. I've seen like movies and stuff where like uh that Without a Paddle movie, there was some like pirate dude or maybe not a pirate, but he was like a thief or a adventurer or something. He got a bunch of money and he screwed over his squad, and then he ended up like trapped in this hole and he couldn't get out of the hole, but he had all this money and he eventually ended up burning the money to like keep
Well,
warm
yeah,
and
yeah, because
survive.
couldn't get out of the hole. But in like in Nana's case, she's working around with a bag full of money.
But she doesn't know what to use it for. And then on that night, she was cold, so she used the money to keep warm. So I feel like it was a practical use.
I do not think it was a practical use. I think that
I don't think that's on her. She had no idea what the concept of money was. So
I think
I don't think you need to say it's common sense when she's ever done
wait,
is like get
so
tortured.
what you're telling me is if if he didn't hand her some money, say he handed her a gun, right? And then she's trying to keep warm at night. She's like, you know what? Let me set this gun on fire. Do you think she would have done that? Do you think she would have threw a gun into the fire and try to light it up? Oh, so like that, yeah, that was like okay. So she knows what the concept of something like
I just don't even know really what you were saying.
what's that?
I don't even really know what you were saying.
If she was handed a gun instead of money and she was trying to
Okay.
keep warm at night, do you think that she would have lit the gun on fire?
I don't think it would really be flammable like that, so probably not.
What do you mean? It would be, like she wouldn't know unless she tried. Do you think she would have tried to light the gun on fire to keep warm?
Possibly, I don't know.
I don't think she would. So, with that being said,
She might know what a gun is because they might have shot him at her when she was tortured. She might actually have known what that was, but she had no idea what money was.
I still think that she made us have some concept of money. Like things just didn't pop up out of thin air, right? I think that common
I
sense.
didn't get that far into Gantz, but you're saying like they use those suits to crush the aliens.
Mhm.
Well, that might have been like common sense, like, hey, put the suit on and crush the aliens. But the people had no idea the suit did that, so they didn't
They
end
had
up
no
doing.
idea it did that until they went into battle and they had to use it. But they didn't. They weren't like, oh, let me not use the suit at all. Let me not put the suit on because they knew they had to put the suit on. The basic use was putting the suit on, and they knew they had to do that. So I'm saying the basic use of her having money, spend it.
Well, that Mayu, the homeless chick,
Mm-hmm.
she told her what money was after that, and then that's all she needed to hear. Like, oh, that's what money is. All right, like I will stop burning this paper.
Yes, which
So I think it's on Kurama for not being like, hey, you use this to buy food. That's all. That's all he had to say. But he didn't say anything. He's just like, here, take this and go far away.
yeah, but with that being said, I mean, I could say the same thing. If she didn't know what money was, she probably didn't know what a book bag was. She could have just left it there. She could have been like, "Oh, I don't need this," and threw it away. What? Why did she like the book bag on fire? Why didn't she like the book bag on fire?
I don't know. I can't really like. She was obviously ignorant and didn't know, so I can't really defend her too much. But I'm saying like, I think it's more so on Kurama for not letting her know what the purpose of money is.
I think that
It's a very
common.
short explanation.
I'm saying that
Don't
he.
don't do anything else with it. Hide it because people will try and steal it from you. It's valuable.
I think that like I don't think he just handed her a bag and it was like, hey, look, be on your way. I think he told her what was in the bag. Was like, hey, look, keep yourself safe. I think that common sense should allow her to like use that. Not necessarily. I don't think it's not necessarily Kurama's fault. Um,
You give someone a bag of mushrooms, and then if you don't tell them if they're poisonous or not, and they are poisonous, and then someone eats it, you're gonna be like, "Oh, that person was dumb."
wait. Exactly. Hold on.
But that person didn't know that they just got handed some poisonous mushrooms. So
They didn't know that they were poisonous mushrooms, but they knew that the purpose of the mushrooms was to eat them, right?
yeah, so then they eat it and they die. Are you gonna say like, "Oh, that person should have known not to eat those"?
No,
Well,
no, no, no,
they
no,
weren't
no.
told that they were poisonous, so how are they
It's
supposed to
different.
know?
Like we're going to it's like a second order effect, right? The first order is like you give them a bag of mushrooms. What do you do with mushrooms? You eat them. It's the same. It's the same kind of concept. You give her a
I
bag
just
of
gave you
money.
an
What do
example
you
of
do
a
with a bag of
concept
money?
where you would burn the money.
But what's that?
I gave you an example of a situation where you would burn the money.
No, because that burning the money is like first order, right? It's like if I give you a bag of mushrooms, even if they're poisonous, you know what to do with the mushrooms. That is to eat them. It doesn't matter what happens after you eat them, but like you know that mushrooms means eat. When you
I
get a
think it
bag of money,
matters.
you know that money means spend, right? She was off the mark completely. Like it'd be different if you gave her counterfeit money and she spent it. That would be like eating the poisonous mushrooms because you know you're not supposed to eat poisonous mushrooms. You're not supposed to spend counterfeit money. But what she got was real money. And then if I gave you real mushrooms and you're like, well, I don't know what these mushrooms are used for. And then all of a sudden you start throwing them in a fire to like warm yourself.
I mean, you see later in the show, like she doesn't know how to cook, she doesn't know how to clean, she doesn't know how to do anything. So I don't think it's her fault that she doesn't know how to do anything.
I think no. I mean, I don't think she doesn't know how to do anything, but there definitely has to be like some sort of common sense like incorporated into that. It's like when they gave her a bowl of soup. She even said they were like, "Oh, is this your first time having soup?" And she was like, "Yeah, I never tried anything so good." But they knew when they put the bowl of soup in front of her, she knew she was supposed to eat it. She wasn't like, "Oh, what do we do with this?" And then just pour it out on the table. She knew what she had to do with the soup.
I
Eat
don't
the
know about that. She might have been the last one to eat it. I don't remember. Everybody else might have been eating it first, and
broke it
then
down and asked for like seconds, thirds. She asked for multiple bowls.
yeah, after she tried it, but everybody else might have been eating it, and then they could have been like, "Nana, try it," and then after she tried it, she knew.
No. I think she was the first one because she was hungry. We can go even like further than that. They gave her a spoon. How does she know what to do with the spoon to use the spoon to eat the soup? It's like
She probably watched Coda and what's her name, Yuka.
Yuka.
Yeah, she probably watched them and like, oh, that's what you do. Whereas those other people, when they came up to buy food at that vendor, that stall, I don't remember what kind of food they were selling. I think it might have been a
It was
dessert.
ice cream.
Yeah. the other people were busting out coins. She didn't have any coins. Like if they had been throwing bills at that guy, she might have been like, "Oh, I have a ton of those." So she was trying to be observant and like learn, but I don't know how you expect her to know what to do with paper money when she's been isolated her whole life. Way back in the day, they didn't have paper money. People like bought stuff with coins or they would barter. So like paper money wasn't even a thing back then.
Do you think that was when paper money created? They were like, well, this is not a coin. I don't know what to do with this, and they burned it. I don't think so. I don't think they did that. I think they were like, oh, we saw coins being used. This is a higher value, and they applied common sense in order to use that. It's like it's like if I don't know. It's like if you gave a baby like a basketball, like obviously they're not going to be out there like shooting hoops, but they common sense tells them that hey, look, this is a ball. Like they know what it is.
She knew it was paper. She knew paper was flammable. She burned it, but she didn't know the
Hold on.
You give someone a basketball. The purpose of it.
You're telling me that this girl knew paper was flammable, but didn't know how to use like to be able to spend money. She knows how to light something on fire. But she didn't.
I mean, you were kind of supporting my case. You're like, you give someone a basketball, they don't know that you shoot hoops with it, but they know it's a ball. You gave her paper money. She knows that it's paper, but she doesn't know that you're supposed to spend money on it.
Yeah, but that's like saying that you're supposed to light paper on fire, which isn't necessarily true.
I'm not saying you're supposed to, but you can.
You can, but how does she know that you can do that?
They might have been lighting her on fire when she was in that lab. Like I have no idea the kind of trauma that she was going. You saw her at one scene; she was all bloody, and then Kurama comes in there and like acknowledges her, and then she kind of gives her hope to keep living.
Look, my question is, how does she even know how to start a fire? She doesn't know how to spend money, but she knows how to start a fire. Really, like let that sink in.
How did cavemen know to start fires? They just figured it out.
Yeah, but that's different though, because they're actually inventing that. So they're in the process of inventing, creating. This is where the process is already established. It's like it's like it's probably people out there, but let's say know how to drive a spaceship, but don't know how to drive a car. That's I mean you a different skill. She knows how to like light up a fire, but she doesn't know the concept of money. I'm not buying it. I don't think that's Kurama's fault. I don't think that he would have gave her 50,000 if he didn't have some inkling, because she calls him Papa for a reason. I'm guessing that he kind of has like a basic idea of who she is and what she knows how to do. Like he didn't give her a plane ticket and then like told her to fly a plane, like go somewhere else. No, he gave her a bag full of money, and he probably, under his very good assumption, thought she understood what the concept of money was.
I think it's 100% on Kurama. So I think we're on opposite sides of the coin here.
All right, we'll put a poll in the video right here saying whose fault do you think it is, Kurama's or Nana's? I say it's Nana's.
I just with anything, if someone's never seen it, I don't know how you expect them to know what to do with it. Plus, like, I mean, I have no experience with this, but I've like seen in like shows and movies. If you like isolate someone and they're just all alone, like being isolated, like put someone in a straitjacket, you just like confine them to be alone. People like go crazy, and that's like her whole life was like that. She was just being alone, being tortured. Kurama would come up, acknowledge her, wasn't even her real dad, but like acted like a father figure. He was kind of like, I wouldn't say he was pretending, because it actually did seem like he cared for her at the end of the show, but I mean, their relationship's not like a real one. He's pretty much just like pretending to be a father figure, so she will comply with all these experiments. So her whole life is like being tortured plus a lie in that fake relationship. And I don't know how you expect her to know anything when all she knows is like being naked. She didn't even know what clothes were, dude. She's like being naked, stripped up to that wall, and being tortured all the time.
I see what you're saying. My point is though, like piggybacking off of that, if she doesn't know anything and she's been isolated her entire life, I don't understand how she would first know how to start a fire, and then second, the possession she has. Hey, look, let me throw it into this fire to make the fire. It's how does she understand that concept if she's been locked up and she's probably never even seen a fire before in her life?
They might have been lighting her on fire. I have no
I
idea
don't
what
think
they
they
were
were
doing
lighting her
to her.
on fire. I don't think they were lighting her on fire. They were
They're
shooting her,
shooting guns at her.
shooting guns, shooting cannonballs. No one was like, "Hey, look, let me light her on fire." I don't think so. And then, if they were lighting her on fire, she was probably like, she's being tortured. She probably had like a band or whatever over her face to cover her eyes. She didn't know what was happening.
They could have been
And
shooting a flamethrower at her for all we know.
exactly, and you'd think that like if she was being shot by a flamethrower, now all of a sudden she knows how to create a fire. I don't think so. I don't think that if she was getting hit by a flamethrower, she would know how to start a fire herself.
She might be able to do it with her vectors. Maybe her vectors could like just slash something and sparks are created. She like figured it out that way.
So you're telling me she couldn't understand that when people handed that dude like 500 yen and a coin, that what she had was like more valuable than that. But her vectors can slice up and create sparks, and she knows to be like, hey, look, you know what? Let me create some more sparks in order to create a fire. I don't know. There's definitely some gaps right there that doesn't make any sense. I still think it was her fault.
Money only has value because we give it value. Like it's essentially just paper. Like if the government was to come out and be like, "That's not worth anything," you have to have Bitcoin. Bitcoin's worth everything now. Money's worth nothing. Then like no one would spend that on anything. We only spend it because that's what we're told to do. Whereas if you're like cold, you slash something, it creates a spark and it's warm. You're like, oh, that's warm. I'm cold right now. That's kind of like an instinct to like, that's going to warm me up. I don't really think it's an instinct that if I give someone paper, it's worth something.
I don't think it's an instinct that if you slice something with her vectors, and a spark was created. Like what is she slicing with her vectors? Is she slicing a tree? If she sliced a tree and a spark was created, you know what her instinct should be? To slice more trees to create a fire, not like, hey, look, let me create a spark. Because she wasn't slicing the paper money up. So where did this spark come from that led her to believe that she can create a fire and then throw her paper in the fire?
Maybe she can just like slash her vectors together and make. I don't know.
The thing is though, anything she slashes with her vectors, unless it's the money, anything she slashed to create a spark, your first instinct should be like, hey, look, let me slash more of that to make more sparks, not like, oh, spark, let me get this money and throw it and like make a bigger spark. It's not a first instinct. There's just no way.
I still think it's all on Kurama. You should have like told her because she knows nothing.
I think it's all on her. I think that maybe if it was shown off screen, I don't think he just handed her a bag of 50 grand or whatever it was and just didn't say anything to her. I think that he might have told her what it was used for, told her, give her like a little sentence or something that like anybody that knew context clues would have known what to use the money for. Uh, and even then, when she saw like those people hand the guy the coins, she could have been like, "Yeah, I don't have any money, or I don't have any of this. All I have is what's in my book bag." And if she would have showed him the book bag, he would have been like, "Oh shit, she does have money. I just need one of those bills." If he was an honest salesman, like she didn't even try. She was just like, "Hey, look, I have this full bag, and that's all there is." She didn't try to do anything with it. Like her first instinct was to throw it in the fire. I disagree with that first instinct completely. It was her fault. She could have been like, "Hey, well, man, I don't have any yen. All I have is this. Problem solved." She could have went up to those people that bought the ice cream. Hey, well, how did you guys get that ice cream? I don't have any of that. I just have this. Problem solved. There were so many steps that could have been taken for lighting the money on fire. Like Kurama's probably thinking, "Hey, look, even if he didn't tell her anything, he was probably thinking, yo, there is so many more things that should happen before she lights the money on fire." I probably won't even get to that part.
I think we'll just have to agree to disagree. We can go on to the next talk. The next
We'll let
talking
the
point.
players decide.
Yeah, we'll put that poll up. We'll hear the comments. I mean, I like to think our fans will be pretty smart and just like say like, why would she know how to do that if she's just been like locked up her whole life? So they'll probably agree with me, but we'll see. I could be wrong.
With me, like imagine if Imagine if I gave you like a house, right? Gave you a house, and then I come back like 2 days
You're
later.
not going to convince me. I already
This is my last point. I gave you a house, came a couple like 2 days later, and then all of a sudden, like the first floor is destroyed. You drove a car to the house, right? I'll probably be thinking, hey, look, I probably didn't need to tell Matt not to drive a car through the house because there are so many more things that could happen before we get to that point that's not even on my radar. Like what she did shouldn't have been on anybody's radar because she could have took so many more steps before she got to the inevitable part of burying her money and knowing how to start a fire. There's so many more things that have to come together that it seems illogical that would be a scenario that happened.
I mean, I'm not going to I was like trying to come up with an explanation on why she might have burned the money. Like, I'm not trying to defend that point too much. I'm just more so trying to defend, like, I don't think she should have known that the money was what you used to buy things.
And
I mean, I'm not gonna argue with you. Like, should she have burned the money? Like, no, she shouldn't have done that. But I don't think she should have known that it was the currency that you use to buy food when she doesn't know anything. So that's my last point.
my last point is I do have one question. What do you do when you don't know anything?
Dude, I mean, you ask someone, but
What you do? What Matt? What do you do?
you ask someone, but she doesn't even have social skills, dude.
Wait, now you're telling me she doesn't know how to ask questions? Is that what you're trying to say, Matt?
I think she was even like talking to the person like, "Can I get that?" And the guy was like, "Get out of here! Like, get out of my face, you horned freak!" Like he was just like, he's like, "Get out of here."
You would lead me to believe that this person who does not, or yeah, this person does not understand the concept of money was like knows how to start a fire, but doesn't know how to ask any questions.
Dude, there's people that don't talk to other humans. Like, there's people that just like sit in their house all day and don't talk to people.
But I mean, she had no problem forging a relationship with Papa. She had no problem like smelling the ice cream and actually approaching the stand.
That relationship was like forced upon her. It was probably like good cop, bad cop type thing where Kurama's like the good guy and then everybody else torturing her as bad guys. So that relationship was like forced upon her to think like, hey, Kurama's on your side.
Maybe.
I feel like she was more so manipulated in that relationship.
Really, you don't think that was a good standard relationship?
I think at the end, Kurama came around like when Nana was fighting Mariko, 35, and she was just getting like slaughtered by her as well. Kurama like went and saved her, and I think like he developed feelings for her, but I think up front like the relationship was like fake. He was just doing this so she would comply with all the experiments.
I mean, I think in general, Kurama.
Kind of like Stockholm syndrome, like when I think that's what it's called when you like kidnap someone and then the person becomes like close with their kidnapper.
It's true, but I think in general, Kurama just he was not for all the violence. I think he was one like more like the nice guys that like he definitely didn't want to be the one to inflict pain.
Yeah, I get that. Like they even showed in his like backstory, he wasn't really down with all the stuff that was going on.
But he was complicit, so he was still like on the evil side, unfortunately. But I'm not going to say that he didn't care about Nana at all. Like he got his own money, gave her a bag, and was like, "Hey, look, I want you to be safe." And he told her not to go after Lucy.
No, at that point in the show, I agree. But I think if they showed like from Nana's birth up until when they released her to go capture Lucy, I feel like at that point it could all just been he was just doing his role.
Yeah, I mean, it also appears that he's probably stepped out of line a couple times. He obviously he was good at his job, which is why he still has a position.
Speaking of stepping out of line, I wrote down another quote. It was the director talking to Kurama, and he said he was just talking about how he like kept Mariko alive. He acted like he was doing Kurama a favor by like keeping Mariko alive and locked up. And he said, the least you can do is obey me. I feel like that's kind of like a ridiculous request. That's the least you could do is just obey my every word.
Yeah, that's what he has to do. What? Speaking of that, who's that nurse? Not the nurse, but the assistant. All right.
The one that got her head ripped off in episode 1.
No, 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 no. The one that bought the son's head to the prison or whatever he was.
I don't. That was like the assistant of the son. I don't remember her name.
I don't remember her name either.
Well, I'm pulling up the list now, but what about her?
I think we need to talk about how dumb she was. I feel like what she did was dumber than not burning the money.
What did she do that you think is dumb?
You're telling me that like the person that you were working with, you walk into the lab. Remember when her and Coda found the dead body?
I think her name's Arakawa.
Arakawa? Yeah, that sounds right. But first off, remember when they went to the lab, they found his dead body, and she told Coda to go home. It'll be like, it'll create a stir if like a kid was involved. That was the first mistake.
Which, did she die? I don't remember. I know she got shot, but did that kill her?
No. They kept her alive, and then she was on the helicopter when they were like going towards the island or whatever they were going towards. But when she called the boss and was like, "Hey, look, what do you want to do with this?" After she saw like this dude had horns, and she had no idea. She decides that it was a smart idea to. They asked her to bring the what do you call it? Dismembered head.
Yeah.
She thought it was a good idea to like bring her professor's head to that base and give it to the boss person because that's what they asked her to do. And then she acted like they were going to let her walk free. What do you mean? You think that first off, she didn't know this dude had horns. Second off, instead of coming to get the head, because she said that she was like, yeah, I don't know why you guys just didn't come and get the head instead of asking me to bring it all the way here. And then she was like, well, I'll be going now. Did she honestly think her life was going to return back to normal? Like, did she think they were just going to like let her walk out of there with that information? That was dumb. She should have been like, here's the head. I'm staying here. There was. She set herself up. She went to like.
She was doing what Kurama wasn't. She was obeying.
That's the one. Like, that's one thing she should not have obeyed. Like, just imagine. Just imagine, like. You know,
I mean, if it was me in that situation, I would have been like, all right, I'm out. There's obviously like some crazy stuff going on. I don't really want to be a part of this, so I'm out.
Yeah, definitely. Just imagine like you found an arm or something, and then like the FBI contacts you. Hey, Matt, we're gonna have actually come to this location because we actually need that arm back. All right, you go to that secret location. First off, they don't even let you know where the location's at, right? They just like they put a thing over your head, taking the helicopter. Now all of a sudden you're at the base. You walk inside, security clearance. They hand the arm, and then you're like, yeah, guess I'll be going home now. No, no world is that like just gonna happen, and they're not gonna be like, actually, Matt.
Well, that other scientist woman obviously knew everything that was going on.
Yeah, that was different though. It looks like she was there for a while. She was like there from the beginning, like she was a part of that. Whereas this is
maybe she thought she had built up a reputation within that organization. They wouldn't just dispose of her like that.
Exactly. But with that assistant professor, that was not the case. They were like, yeah, we're not going to let you like return back, especially since what they were doing was like pretty much legal. So she wrote her own death. Like, I don't think that she thought that through. I would not have got onto that helicopter to fly away to a place that I didn't know where it was going to act, especially since she's never seen the boss. Flipped it all the way around. She gets the L of the show for me.
Oh.
The character that suffered the worst loss. L award.
Well, in the first episode, remember that girl who was like spilling all the coffee? Kurama's assistant. She was like a klutz, and she was like spilling the coffee all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When Lucy's breaking out, Lucy comes through this door, and then there's just like 20 people with machine guns waiting for her. And then she like kind of just stumbles into the scene and spills the coffee.
Oh yeah.
And then Kurama was like screaming for her to get out of there, and she's like, "Huh? What's going on? Huh?" And then Lucy just like rips her head off.
now. But
She
that
she
being
she
said,
she was a pretty big loser, I would say.
it was, but like she only lasts for like a couple minutes, so she doesn't really count. There was no character development needed
There,
for her.
they didn't even give this guy a name, obviously, because he was just like a random guard that got picked off. But as soon as that girl gets her head ripped off, they all just unload their clip on Lucy, and
I
then they
think
all and then they all run out of bullets, and then Kurama's like shoot her, and they're like, we're out of bullets, and
yeah,
then
all the Pokemon ran after that.
and then one guy's like, he stands up because I think they're all like crouched down like shooting her. Well, this one guy gets up and he's like, I'll take this bitch, and he like runs
Oh,
at
he knew
Lucy,
that.
and
And he just like she slices the arm off.
she actually just pops his heart out like straight through his
Really,
chest.
goodness.
Yeah, but I thought that guy like even though he went out like immediately, I kind of like respect him. He's like I got this.
I mean, he went down like he
He
was
went
on
down
his knees.
fighting. Everybody else kind of just stood there and got split in half.
That's true. Unfortunately for them. But with that being said, do you think that they uh do you think that they were engineered to like kill all the humans? Meaning it's because they were being tortured. That's what led to that.
I think it was because of the torture. Because even with Nana being tortured, you kind of saw that she had like a kind soul. But I feel like with Lucy, like she originally was trying to be nice to people, but that boy literally beat that dog, that puppy with a vase right in front of Lucy and was like laughing about it. So that kid honestly deserved to die after all that. But I feel like if that never happened, I don't know if Lucy would have. If people weren't like belittling her because of her horns and then slaughtering her puppy, like I don't know if she would have. If she actually like made friends, I don't know if she would have been like evil.
True. I don't know. It's interesting because I want to say it's like a little bit of both. Like obviously, she was getting picked on. There was some like scarring there. Then I have to look at it that like I mean I quote a lot to her about like taking his cousin to the festival, which was very weird because it's like
I don't think that should have been enough to set her off.
yeah, exactly. Like it set her off. Like it was when she saw her, and then she just like started mopping everybody. Like in
Yeah,
the
because you were telling me you liked Coda's backstory. That was actually the part I didn't like about his backstory is this that Lucy like slaughtered his sister and his father just because he lied about his cousin being a boy when it was actually a girl.
yes, that's what I was like. I think maybe it's like a little bit of like the kind of engineer for that because she was you not say willing, but like it was so easily for her to just take that life, even though nothing like necessarily bad happened to her. Uh,
Dude,
but also,
that dog got killed in front of her.
was that
That dog got killed in front of her.
yeah, but I mean, she took out like that on her, like she took out her anger with them on that. But I'm saying that situation inherently didn't have anything to do with like
I
Coda
think
thinking.
that was the what started it all. I feel like if that never happened and then Coda lied about his cousin, I think she would have been hurt. Like her feelings would have been hurt, but I don't think she would have gone on a rampage and slaughtered
I
everyone.
think she still would have gone on
I
a
think she
rampage.
already was like, I hate all humans. Then Coda comes around and she's like, oh, this human's not that bad. Like he actually gave me the best day of my life. But then that human lied to me. It's just back to hating all humans again. If she didn't already have that previous notion of like hating all mankind, I don't think that would have been enough to set her off.
I think it'd have been enough to set her off because even then, like, when she was like hanging out with Coda. She's like, you know what, this has to be fine. Walks into the house, slaughters everybody, and like keeps it to herself.
It wasn't, and it actually wasn't. I mean, him lying about his cousin hurt his feelings. But then when Lucy was at that festival, there was actually people like like some guy bumped into her, pushed her down, and then was like talking junk to her, like you horned freak, like why you even
It was
go for
so
you?
funny. I was like, "Yo, this guy really just came out the cut, knocked her down, and just started talking shit to her like randomly."
Yeah, so I feel like that had something to do with it too. So I feel like it was a series of events. I feel like if that puppy was never slaughtered, and then she never got pushed down on the ground and like got scolded for she didn't even do anything wrong. She was just standing there, and then I've never seen an adult push down a little girl in public and then just start talking shit to her. So I feel like those two things on top of the lie is what set her off. I think if it was just the lie, I think her feelings would have been hurt. I don't think she would have started killing a bunch of people. But she
That's the
didn't even
thing.
start killing. She didn't even start killing people until after that guy pushed her down.
And we don't really know our origin. Wait, we don't really know our origin story. What happened to her mom and dad again?
They don't ever talk about that. That's why That's why I was wondering if she was what's it called, a celibate or whatever.
Yes, syphilis.
Whatever it is. Yeah, like I don't think she was one of those. I think she was actually like pure Diclonius. So, but they don't ever really talk about her parents in the anime, at least. The manga might go into more detail. I was actually looking up reviews about the anime, and people were saying the manga was better, but
Mm-hmm.
the anime actually did do a good adaptation, is what some of the reviews were saying. There's always going to be reviews about people hating, but
It's true. But at the same time, yeah, like obviously, like the dog was tortured, beat down. She did what she had to do by killing those boys. But she also like maybe she was a little girl, she can't really control it. But when the guy would push her down and talk shit to her, I think if she would just killed him, it would have been fine. Like I could say like, okay, yeah, that was a catalyst. But the fact that she killed him and then just started killing all the innocent beings around her, like and she just went on a rampage, was like she already accomplished what she had to do, which was killing that guy for like talking shit to her. Then she took it another step further. She was like,
because
well,
she associated it with all mankind, and then
boy,
even when she thought Coda was her friend, she's like, still Coda lied to me.
but that's
So
the thing is she
she just had
associated
no
that.
trust in humans at all, because even the one that was nice to her still lied to her. So she's like, how can I
Mm,
trust any human?
I don't know, but you just said that right there. Like her, that guy pushing her down. She associated that with all mankind, which means it was hard for her to differentiate between all the other humans. So that's why I'm on the side of like it might have been a little. She might have been engineered to take out all mankind because once she had that bad action happen to her, she was like, okay, yeah, this defines all the humans. Therefore, they all got to die.
Well, I feel like Nana was an exception to that, because I feel like she wasn't really out here trying to kill anyone.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. But they also said that like the Nana was a failure when they were talking about her. They're
Well,
like, yeah, she's a failure. She's just like to be put down. She was definitely like they definitely talked down most on Nana the most, and I think it was because she was a little bit different than the other ones. Um, but even when like Lucy was on the train, uh, yeah, she just ripped apart the sister and the father for like absolutely no reason, and I kind of question how they I guess how she handled like the family aspect. Like it was clear that the show was trying to portray that his cousin and his sister had a crush on Coda, which is kind of weird. I don't know if you caught that part
which part?
where the sister and the cousin both had a crush on Coda.
I don't know. I mean, the sister like loved him probably because it was her brother. I don't know. She's
It,
also a little. She's also like a little girl. So
yeah, but I think it was implied that she had a crush on him. I mean,
I feel
she
like she would have grown out of that. I feel like she wasn't trying to hook up with her brother.
yeah, I'm saying it was obviously like a childish crush, but it was implied that she had a crush on her brother by like, kissing him, hugging him, and then she didn't. She was jealous when the cousin was like, "Oh, hey, we're gonna like hang out again," and it was clear that the cousin also liked them too. Um,
Yeah, that's
which
pretty clear throughout the whole show.
yeah, but I think that's why also Lucy like killed his sister. She felt threatened by the sister liking him. Um,
Well, I feel like maybe in just like a twisted way, it's like, you lied to me, you made me feel bad. What can I do to make you feel bad? Slaughter your
um,
father and your
I don't think
sister.
so. I think it was purely that like she didn't want any other girls in Coda's life because she wanted them for herself.
What do you think happened at the end? Like, you think that was Lucy that came back at the end? That shadowy figure?
I think it was what Lucy slash Mew. I
Yeah,
think it
yeah.
was yeah. I definitely think it was that. or that person. And I looked up like some people who interpret it like the same way, and it makes sense that it was that person. I think it was like a more mature version of it, of her. What about you?
I think it was Lucy. I really don't know why Coda was like hugging on her towards the end of the show at that spot that he likes to go to at the top of those steps.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was pretty much like, I can't lose you. I've lost everybody else. Like I don't know why he was saying that. Like you lost everybody else because Lucy slaughtered them.
Yes, and he still had his cousin like back at the house waiting for him. So, but I mean, at the same time, even then, that episode had like a little symbolism in it. Um, I didn't notice the first time I watched it, but I noticed like rewatching it. When she was fighting number 35, how like one of her horns got ripped off, and then her second horn got ripped off when she hopped into the gunfight with the police. So now she's missing both of her horns.
Mm.
And they say I think they're basically like return back to human when they lose both their horns,
Okay.
which is why Nana couldn't sense her. I'm not sure if Nana lost her horns too.
No, I think she still had them. Not quite sure. Could be wrong about that.
Mm.
But I guess another question I could ask you is if you were having a child that was a Diclonius, what would you do? Would you try and kill it?
Yes. What do you? is that even a question? Dead on the spot.
I don't know if I would.
You don't know if you would? What do you mean?
I feel like if you raised it with like love and stuff, it would end up more like Nana.
Did you see what number 35 did to the woman that was talking to her ever since she was trapped?
Dude, she was isolated in a chamber. I don't think that's love. They literally like locked her up, put bombs in her. Dude, she never left that chamber. Like you'd be seeing black your whole life. It'd be like almost like you'd be blind.
But she saw the woman that was her mom, who like the only voice of kindness that she had, and she was like, "You're not Mama." Sliced over.
Yeah, because I think she was like they said the Diclonius were smart, like smarter than humans, I believe, or they at least their intelligence progressed quicker than humans. So she probably picked up on like even number 3. They showed number 3, and she was like deliberately like not showing her full strength with her vector, so that it gave her an opportunity to escape later in the show.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think that's like what 35 was doing. Like she's just playing along, like, oh, okay, yeah, you're. And then the second they free her, she's like, you guys messed up by freeing me. But I feel like if you never locked them up in the first place, they might end up more like Nana. Like number 3 had a horrible experience, like locked up, shooting cannonballs at her, testing her strength. 35 put her in that chamber. She like doesn't even get to see anything. Number 3 at least got to like see stuff. 35's just like locked in there seeing pitch black all day. Lucy got a dog killed right in front of her for no reason. They're just bullying her, killing her pet.
She saw the blood at the end.
Yeah, so Nana was an exception. Honestly, she had every right to hate people and end up being evil too. But I feel like she wasn't evil just because Papa was like giving her that form of love. I don't think it was
her personality that also played a part into it.
Yeah, so I think if he never put his own daughter, never put Mariko in that pitch black tank, like raised her like an actual, like you would care for your actual daughter, they might end up being more of an asset than something that's trying to destroy mankind.
Wait. Question: do you have a sister?
No.
Dang. When you were younger, were you ever mad at your parents?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Just imagine. She comes home from school, and she gets a D. And you're just like, we can't be having bad grades. We can't be having bad grades in this house. I need you to be or higher. She's like, yo, fuck the B. Now you're probably split in half because she got mad at you for that one slight moment. I can't take that chance.
Fair enough.
Unless you
I don't really have a comeback for that, so.
Unless you plan on raising her, but she never gets mad at you. Because if she ever gets mad at you, and just 5 years old, she's like, "Fuck it, your head's gone," or maybe look even worse. What if she decides to teach you a lesson? What if she takes off your arm? It's like you're still alive, but you have an arm missing, and she's like, "Don't talk to me like that again." And now and now she's the parent, you're her child, and you can't do anything.
Maybe you still put the bombs in them, but
What if you fall asleep and she finds the remote and she's like, "Oh yeah, it's over now." Like now she has the remote. She knows you put bombs in her. You think she's gonna stay and like be well behaved? It's over.
I don't know. I like to think that I could figure it out. I would like to think that maybe killing her is not the only option.
I think that's very well the only option. I think that I have no idea how like they did the numbers, but I would have to assume that like 35 was obviously like the 35th one that was born. Um, I think there's a reason why one all the way to 35, Nana was the only one that was good that like didn't kill people. And
But even Nana, they were torturing him. I don't think any of them they ever tried not torturing him.
yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like Nana was the only one whose personality like she didn't really want to kill humans. Um, the one that like wasn't out here like trying to destroy people. Uh, I think that like even if you were to show them love, if you like raise them as your own, you made her mad once, you try to ground her, your head's gone. Your head's gone. Actually, we're not even talking about all the real world implications. What if she was born and then she was diagnosed with being bipolar, right? One day she's happy, the next match she's mad at you for absolutely no reason. You want a cup of coffee, all of a sudden your hand's missing. Can you live with that?
Um, I mean, I don't have any children, but man, maybe that's a risk you're willing to take for your child. Like you saw that one guy, he didn't want to put his daughter or his child down. Like Kurama's like, I've put like 10 of these down already. I'll keep doing it. Like, and that one dad was just crying. He's like, I don't want to lose my child.
Exactly. Kurama had to do what needed to be done because there was just too much of a risk.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I don't know. Maybe I'd be acting like that guy if I actually had a child.
I would have been like, damn, I can't believe she has horns. We'll try again another time. Although I wonder if, because I don't really, they didn't really touch on this point, but did all of them, did this happen to me for the show that they were all female, or were they specifically all,
Yeah, they were all female. I remember looking that up. That's what that, I keep forgetting how to pronounce it, but that's what that one variation is, the syphilis or whatever.
syphilis or syphilis, something like that?
Yeah, they were all female.
Interesting. Was that just because,
I
uh,
believe. I could be wrong. If someone wants to correct me in the comments, let me know. But I'm pretty sure that's what I looked up.
yeah, I'm pretty sure they were all female, but I wonder, well, like, what was the reason why? Was that just because?
The only ones with horns were the director and the scientist dude.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Kakuzawa. They were both named that. I guess that was their last name. They didn't give them first names. But I was talking to you before we started recording. I don't really know why they had horns. You were saying they were possibly experimenting on themselves. I didn't know why they had horns.
Well, they were experimenting on themselves, and they were trying to make themselves compatible with Lucy, to like restart mankind. I guess the woman held the key to the world makes sense.
Yeah, I knew they were trying to do that, but I wasn't sure if like they always had the horns or if they gave themselves horns or what.
It's interesting. I would say they didn't always have.
Because when I looked it up, actually, they said it was like they were like a watered down version of that species. I don't know if it was because through breeding, because you would think if like the dad had it and then he had a son, the son would have it too. He would have those horns.
That's true, but it's really interesting that if that was his son that had the horns, he didn't have any vectors.
Yeah, because they said it was just like they kept watering it down that species. They weren't like purebreds like Lucy was.
Interesting.
So I don't really know. I didn't really get that part.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to know.
I
Uh,
tried looking it up. I wasn't really seeing any information. They might explain it in the manga, but I wasn't like seeing anything on Wikipedia or my anime list or fandom or anything.
it's always been probably something I didn't really worry about in the show, but
Well, it bothered me. I was like, "What's going on?" I tried looking it up. I couldn't find an answer.
yeah, because I mean, obviously they were like blending out like regular humans. They had wigs. Uh, they're pretending like they're one of the guys. It was interesting. And then it looked like the father knew what the son was doing, even though the son tried to make it seem like it was something else. Like he was going for the vaccine, but he didn't want to really create the vaccine, and the father really didn't want the vaccine either. So it looks like it was like both a ploy.
Mm, yeah, you said you didn't see the OVA.
I did not. I wasn't really that interested in it just because uh, it was basically like a filler episode.
It answered a pretty key question for me. I was wondering how they even captured Lucy because anyone that came in contact with her, she just slaughtered. And
Exactly.
there was some character. What happened is there's some other person that befriended Lucy, kind of like Coda did.
Ooh.
So they showed her like chilling with Aiko, and then they showed them like talking. They're like hiding in a shelter. The girl's like, I want to be your friend. And then Lucy takes off her hat and she's like, "You still want to be my friend even though I have these horns?" And the girl's like, "Yeah." The girl's like, "Yeah, I still want to be your friend." And then she's like, "Can I have that hat?" And she puts Lucy's hat on.
Mm-hmm.
And then they both get like surrounded by cops, and the cops think that they're both Diclonius because she has the hat on.
Oh.
So they start shooting at her, and then Lucy like uses her vector to protect both of them. But then one sneaks up from the side and is about to like shoot, like he's hiding in like a sewer or something. Like he like sneaks up from a different angle, and
Mm-hmm.
he's like trying to shoot Lucy in the head, and then the girl like pushes Lucy out of the way and takes the bullet. Lucy's like she had nothing to do with this. Like, can you save her? And then Kurama's there, and he's like, if you comply and surrender, we'll save her. So then Lucy like surrenders so that they can try and save that girl. And then Kurama later on tells her like we weren't able to save that girl.
Goodness. They're probably like, yeah, just leave her in the street.
And then they tried. They like rushed her to the hospital, but like she took a bullet. They just weren't able to save her. And then Lucy says, "I'm gonna keep you alive and kill your whole family." That's what she says to Kurama, so that you know the loss that I just experienced. Kurama, I felt like was pretty bold in some of his actions he was taking. He would like come like just right up to Lucy a couple times, and I think it was because Lucy like was never gonna kill him.
Yeah, Kurama was kind of like bold in a lot of the um scenes he was in. It's like he was like, "Fuck it."
But I thought that clarified kind of maybe why he was like that, because Lucy straight up said like, "I'm not gonna kill you. I'm gonna keep you alive."
She wanted him to feel the pain.
Yeah. So I did think it was. I thought you should have checked it out. I thought it did clarify some stuff. I thought it was a pretty good OVA.
I might check it out. I typically don't
I
like
thought
to.
it was just as key as the Mirai Nikki one. Like that OVA was pretty key because I told you I was like, how did get back to?
That's true, but I think
And then this one's like, how did Lucy ever get captured? They explain that.
but I think an OVA that's concluding the series is different than an OVA that takes part within the series.
I still thought it cleared up some stuff, just like the Future Diary one did. So
But
I
yeah,
kind of think they're equivalent.
I don't think they're equivalent because it's like trying to think. I can't really think of an anime, but it's just like when. Oh, imagine if they was it ReZero? Yeah, imagine they just came out with ReZero, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we just got this OVA uh, detailing how Beatrice got into the mansion, and this takes place between episodes 4 and 5 of the ReZero series. Would you
I
watch
would check that out. I like Beatrice. I told you I still went with Rem, but I was debating on whether to like pick her or
I mean, Beatrice.
Rom as my favorite characters.
Oh wait, okay, wait. This is different. This is actually more relevant. It's like if they came out with an OVA after the episode of where Rim and Ram, how they like lost their horns, or like how Ram lost the horn. It's like they came up with an OVA explaining like how their village was attacked and why they were like targeted. And it's like, yeah, we saw the flashback of the episode. Yeah, there could be like a little bit more detail on like why exactly the village decided to attack at that point. But
I was trying to search it. I had no idea why Lucy, how she got captured. So I appreciated it because it cleared up that question for me.
Hey, I mean, now I know how she got captured too, and I didn't even see the episode.
Yeah, it's because I told you. It'd be like if I didn't watch that Redial episode and you just told me how got back there.
That's different though, because that OVA was specifically to tie up the series, not explaining something that happened like within the show. It's like it's actually like a special movie, so it's still like a canon part of it.
All right, I can already tell. Like, I'm not going to convince you. So.
No, wait. I'm trying to think. Like, imagine.
I hear what you're saying. I just thought it was like a key. It was key information that I needed, and that it cleared up for me. Just like the Redial episode was key information that I needed, and it cleared up for me.
Wait. Here's a good example. Have you seen like all the Avenger movies?
No.
Oh, do you like the Avenger movies?
I saw the first one. I just feel like there's too many of them. So you either watch all of them or you catch one.
There's only 22.
Huh?
There's only 22.
That's a lot of movies, dude.
You're telling me that in your life you haven't seen 22 movies?
Not 22 of like the same movie.
So you haven't seen 22 action movies in your entire life? You ever seen 22 comedy movies or 22 romance movies?
Yeah, but those movies are unrelated. The Avengers and Marvel stuff, they're all related.
Yeah, but they're different movies, different characters and stuff.
I'm more likely to watch like a show, like a long show series, than I am to watch a long series of movies. I would have to think that's the longest one. I can't think of one longer. Like Star Wars isn't 22 movies. Lord of the Rings isn't 22 movies. That's got to be like the longest one, and I never kept up with it. So not hating on them, not saying they're bad. I'm just saying it was like too much for me to keep up with.
That's true. I mean,
maybe James Bond. I haven't really seen any of the James Bond movies, but there's a lot of those too.
Wait, have you seen the Star Wars movies?
I saw the original 6, and then I saw episode 7, and I thought 7 was like garbage and ruined the series. I'm probably going to finish up 8 and 9 just because of what Andrew said episode 1 when I dropped Naruto. He's like, you got to check it out so you can completely condemn it. So I probably will check out 8 and 9 just so I can condemn it completely, but 7 was like utter trash, where I thought like the first 6 were a masterpiece.
With that being said, did you watch the TV show associated with it?
The Clone Wars?
Yeah.
I watched the original Clone Wars series that was like on Cartoon Network, and then eventually on Netflix. It's probably on Disney Plus now. I'm sure it is. But yeah, I watched that. Then they made a new one that was like between episode 3 and 4, and it was like about this guy that looked like Aladdin.
Did you watch that too?
No, I did not watch that. I feel like as soon as Disney got their hands on it, it's like 50-50 whether it's good. Like I thought Rogue One was kind of good. I thought episode 7 was trash. I didn't really watch that Disney Plus series of between 3 and 4. Thought it was kind of boring. That's all I've seen. I haven't seen Mandalorian. I heard that's cool, so that might be cool. So I feel like it's 50-50. As soon as Disney got their hands on it, I feel like it's 50-50 whether it's good, whereas when George Lucas was doing all of it, I'm pretty sure he played a big part in the original Cartoon Network Clone Wars. That one was badass. So
I guess the Star Wars is a lot more expansive than this, but basically like an anime with an OVA. Oh wait, a perfect example is Samurai Champloo. Did you watch Did you watch the summary episode?
Yeah.
You watched episode like 12.5, whatever.
When they're reading Fu's diary?
Yes.
Yeah, but that wasn't presented as an OVA. When I was actually watching it on, I switched over to Kiss Anime like Andrew suggested. So when I was watching it on Kiss Anime, it just appeared in the episode list.
Interesting. I didn't even notice that.
Is it an extra thing?
What's that?
Is it like a separate episode? Is it supposed to be like an OVA? Because when I watched Samurai Champloo, they presented it was like episode 12 or 13. It was like in the series list.
Well, it's still like basically a recap episode. So they might just have it like structured differently. But it technically is an OVA because if you rewatch Samurai Champloo, you wouldn't have to watch that episode. You would probably just skip over it.
They had one of those in Death Note too.
Oh yeah, did you watch that?
Yeah. But they presented that in the series too. They do that in Naruto all the time. Naruto has recap episodes, and they're not OVAs. They're just filler.
Those are straight filler. Those are trash filler.
Well, I feel like that's what the Samurai Champloo and the Death Note one were. They weren't like OVAs. They were part of the series.
They're part of the series. They're also like recap episodes that you can very well skip if you're.
Yeah, but the Elfen Lied OVA wasn't really a recap episode. It was like new stuff. It was more so a filler than a recap.
Well, all I'm trying to say is a OVA detailing information in between the series is different than an OVA that's concluding the series.
I mean, I get that, but I just thought it was presenting valuable information on an equal basis.
It's definitely valuable information, but I think that if I still know how the series ended if I didn't watch the OVA versus if you didn't watch the OVA of Mirai Nikki, you wouldn't know how the series ended. So you would be like,
I told you I missed it like the first 3 times I watched it. Then you told me to check out my anime list, and then I actually saw it.
Yeah, see, and that's why I was like, okay, because to me it had a good ending. I didn't know you didn't know that it had a good ending.
Yeah, I just thought it was. Well, I thought it was I thought they were doing something that was similar to what Elfen Lied did at the end, where that shadowy figure appeared. You don't know if it's Lucy or not. I thought that's kind of what they were doing.
Nah. Mirai Nikki had to come back with the heat. It couldn't be a great anime if it didn't let you know for sure that it's going to have one of the best endings.
Yes. I did want to bring up one thing about your boy Bando. When in episode 2, remember he has that partner with him when they're tracking down Lucy. The guy's like calling into like headquarters, like trying to tell them that they found Lucy, and then Bando like hits him with the back of his gun and smashes like the walkie-talkie or the phone. You remember that?
Wait, was this before or after like he got his guts blown out?
It was before. They find New. It wasn't really Lucy. They find New on the beach. Those 2 guys, and then the guy's calling it in, saying like, "Hey, we found the Diclonius," and then Bando like hits him in the head and smashes the phone. He's like, "Don't ever go around me." And
he wants to assume that he was the leader of the team.
Yeah, so he like knocks that guy out, smashes the phone, and then they start like messing with New. They start like pushing her, trying to push her in a corner.
Trying to wake up Lucy, basically.
Yeah, and then the partner comes back into the scene and doesn't even acknowledge that Bando knocked him out and smashed his phone. I feel like if someone did that to me, I'd be like, dude, what the fuck did you just do that for? He didn't even acknowledge it. He's just like, oh, is the Diclonius over there?
So if Floyd Mayweather just came up to you, smacked your phone out of your hand and smashed it, what are you going to do?
I'd say, like, what the hell?
To Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
Hey, but what if he's like, you know what? 2 peaks right in the face.
Then I at least acknowledge that he did that. The other guy didn't even acknowledge that he got knocked out.
I mean, would you? What if it was Mike Tyson?
What would you? I would be like, I would at least say like that was really lame. He didn't even say anything. He just came up and like just started having another conversation with him, like it never even happened. You would do the same thing if let's say, I mean anyone, like someone on the Spurs, like or not even Tony Parker. I mean, I guess he's retired now. What if he came up and just like smacked you in the face? Would you not say anything?
actually, we have to change the situation a little bit. All right, say
I don't
like
even know why you're trying to argue with me. I feel like if someone like knocks you out, smacks you in the, you would at least like acknowledge like, hey, even if he didn't even accuse him, even if he was like, dude, I just got knocked out. He didn't even say anything.
no. Okay, wait. Just let's just say this dude just comes up from behind you and smacks your phone out, and then boom, smacks you across the face with a pistol, and he's holding the gun like this, and you turn around. Are you going to say anything?
But that would be like a stranger, and this scenario it was like his partner. He could at least say something like, "Dude, my head hurts." Like he didn't even acknowledge that he got like knocked the fuck out.
I mean,
Didn't even acknowledge it. I feel like he would at least acknowledge it, or like, "Hey, I had this phone and now it's broken." He didn't even have to acknowledge that he got knocked out. He'd be like, "Hey, we can't radio into headquarters anymore because the phone's broken." He just didn't even, that whole sequence of events. He just didn't. He like it was like it never happened.
that would probably have made that dude even madder. That's such a passive aggressive thing to say. Damn, the phone's broken. We can't radio in their headquarters. I wonder why. After he just got
or he could have been like, "How'd you get so far ahead of me?" Like he literally just like walks up to Bando and been like, is the Diclonius still around?"
Exactly. He acknowledged it. He acknowledged a passing of time and asked him, was it a Diclonius?
I don't know if that's actually what he said. He could have said something else. Though. I just remember when I watched it, I had to rewind it. I was like, because I almost thought it was a different guy. I had to rewind it. I was like, did that guy get knocked out? Or is that the same guy?
Maybe he knocked him out so hard he forgot that he was knocked out.
That must have been. There's no other explanation. That must have been it.
Like, there's just a block in his memory. He was on the island and he was walking, and now he's still walking. Maybe he thought he dropped the phone.
I don't know. I just wanted to get your take on that, and your take is like it was whatever.
Look, if actually, yeah, this is a perfect example. If you're in the military, right, and your sergeant just like you did something bad, your sergeant comes over, yo, Matt, drop down, give me 25, and then when you get in 25 push-ups, he steps on your hand. Are you gonna be like, yo, why did you step on my hand? Are you gonna say anything?
You could at least like not even say something, but you could go like this and like massage your hand, so you at least acknowledge that your hands. He did not. It was like it never happened. There was no acknowledgement of that scene at all.
I think if you would have rubbed your hand, he would have been like, yo, what you rubbing your hand for? Another 25.
Yeah, that could have happened. That the guy could have been like rubbing his head, and he'd be like, "What's wrong with your head?" And he'd be like, "Nothing."
But I think that, but in that situation, though, people in the military, they wouldn't react to the sergeant stepping on their hand. They would continue doing their push-ups because obviously they wouldn't want to bring even worse punishment on them.
Well, then he could have like shown up and addressed him with more respect. Like if that's the case, he could have been like, "Sir, what are we doing now?"
You came up to him, you'd be like, "Hey, look, that's what he did." He said, "Is that Cody is still nearby?"
I don't know if that's actually what he said. I was just like, I don't remember what he said verbatim, but I just remember there was like, it was almost like that scene could have been taken out of the show, and it would have been the same. It would have led to the same conclusion.
And let you know how much respect that he had to put on his name after he knocked him out. He was like, don't even acknowledge it. Maybe this happened to him before, so he knows not to say anything because he said something in the past. He just got knocked out again.
All right, yeah. I just wanted to hear your take on that. So
I thought it was pretty funny. I thought that it went well with the scene.
Well, is there anything else we need to address? You want to get straight into the ratings or what?
So I think we can get straight into the ratings. I think I'll address that needed to in the show. Very symbolic, very interesting show, very gory.
Yeah, it was, especially episode 1. And then even when just got all her, or not Nana got all her limbs like ripped off.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty graphic, pretty gory scene. I was about it. I liked the comeback by Nana. She like didn't. I thought that was gonna be the end of her. I was like, damn, like she's bleeding from every limb in her body, but she came back.
Get a bit over.
And she still she was gonna take out New.
Oh, That reminds me.
She didn't. She's like, Lucy, she did this to me, but I can see that she's pretty innocent right now.
I'm
It
glad.
wouldn't be the right thing to do to just kill her if she's in this state, if she's actually going to stay in this state, because Koda and Yuka and Mayu, none of them ever knew. They never knew her as any other way. They're like, this is new. Like, she's not the Lucy that you know. And then Nana like was able to take that information in and say like, if she's actually going to stay like this, not revert back to Lucy, if this is the way that she is, I can't bring myself to kill her because she seems like a good person now.
I don't think she went that far into that, but I'm glad you said that because that that scene was having it was one of the most like she really had me fucked up. She storms into this place of residence, doesn't know anybody except the what was that girl's name? The little girl
Ma-
Maya.
Mayu.
Mayu. She only knew her for like I guess whatever time period that was, like half a day or whatever, storms up into this guy's residence and was like, oh, this is the person I've been looking for. I'm going to kill her. And then she gets mad at them for like saying, oh, this woman has killed. No, actually, she didn't even tell them why she was trying to kill Lucy. She literally just stormed up to that place and started assaulting her. And they got mad when the other people were defending her. She didn't tell them why she was there. She didn't tell them about the alter ego. She was literally like she saw Lucy and she started attacking and then was mad how they didn't how they weren't like on her side. She was like, yeah, nobody's on my side. They're all against me. You didn't tell them anything. You literally walked up there and this was like swinging ass questions later.
I believe she thought she was mistaken. She's like, that couldn't have been Lucy. Like, she thought that she just made a mistake. Because she wasn't sensing her with her vectors, so she's like, maybe that wasn't Lucy.
She was without that was afterwards. Like when she first saw her, she attacked them. She attacked her, and
Yeah, but then as soon as everyone started defending her, she like kind of ran away. She didn't stick around. She ran away, and then Mayu had to chase her.
yeah, she ran away crying, and she was like, "Yeah, why are you guys on her side? Why are you guys not on my side? You didn't even give a side. You came up there and started attacking. Like, imagine if somebody came into your door and they started attacking your cat. And you're just like, they're like, yeah, you're
I'd be like, what did my cat do? I attack her all the time when she acts up.
yeah. But then after you like stand up for your cat, the person runs away, and then they're like, oh, I can't believe Matt wasn't on my side. Obviously, this cat is the worst cat in the world. It's killed a couple people. She didn't give her side. She just came up there and just started attacking off the bat, and then acted like people were going to like agree with her.
I think she like thought that might not have even been Lucy.
No, she did, but the way
So that's why she like ran away. She's like, I just made a scene. I was in the wrong potentially, so she ran away.
no, she after she ran away though, the dialogue at the bottom of it was like, why is nobody on my side? Why are they all defending
She
her?
doesn't talk to anyone other than Kurama. Like, she doesn't have social skills, so I'm not gonna think anything she does is like weird
She doesn't
when
have
you know
social
her
skills.
backstory is that she doesn't know how to do anything, doesn't know how to talk to people, doesn't know how to do anything. She has no skills.
She doesn't know how to talk to anybody, has no skills, but she was able to befriend Mayu, roll up to that house, and then start attacking the girl in their house, even though she didn't sense her, but she was just like, okay, that looks like Lucy, I have to attack and kill her. And then she got mad at the people defending her.
It was really just an easy choice for me. It wasn't even really close between like who my favorite character was. I was down with her. Uh, I think her actions made sense if you put it in the context of her backstory. Like, who knows what that does to someone's state of mind, just being tortured all the time and having never left that building. Like all these events that we're seeing in the show are really her first experiences outside of that lab.
So you're telling me that if somebody knocks on your door, you open the door, and this person's like, "Oh shit, you're my arch nemesis," and it's like drills you in the face, even though you've never seen this person before, and they're like, "You used to beat me up all the time when we were kids. You used to bully me." you're gonna be like, oh well, you know what? This person probably has no social skills. He in his mind, he's probably right. He probably has like a side of his story. And you're just gonna roll over.
Now, I'd probably act before I even knew their backstory because I'd be defending myself. But as the viewer, we know her backstory.
We do know her backstory, and I
But
think
no,
that
if Lucy had like, not even Lucy, if New had attacked Nana, I would have been like, damn right, New, you should have done that. Like that's what you should have done. But since I know Nana's backstory, I kind of like understand where she's coming from.
like within her like her first being released, she made friends with Mayu. Saying that she doesn't have any social skills is an understatement. She basically manipulated Mayu and taking her back to her place of residence.
Well,
And
I
then,
feel like since Mayu background is like she was being molested, which is a form of torture, I would say. They kind of have that in common, so I'm sure they were able to like resonate with each other based
and
off
then,
that.
well, even if they were able to resonate with each other,
Like
she did.
Mayu doesn't really have a lot of friends, so you're saying someone that has no friends making friends with someone else that pretty much has no friends, like
Yeah, and then wait, and then when Mayu was accepted into that household, did she turn around, steal food behind the back? Did she turn around and then like beat the dog down? Like no, she was an upstanding citizen. She didn't really step out of line. She knew how to help around the house. This
why would she
didn't.
beat the dog down?
That's what I'm saying though. She had no reason to beat the dog, so she wouldn't do that. But
You're talking about Mayu?
yeah,
I thought it was kind of funny when that like she gave the dog a cool name. It was Wanta, and then this
hmm
other lady just came out of nowhere. She was like James, James. I found. I was like, who names a dog James? And then the dog just ran away from her again. So she was obviously a shit owner.
much yeah, exactly. Much respect. Ran away from the owner. Um, But you're not telling me that this woman or this girl Nana was in the right, just strolling up to a place that she's never seen before, and then just attacking one of the residents that lived there. That's what it was. That's what it was. She made a friend for half a day, strode up to this place of residence, and then attacked somebody based on their looks.
Well, it was Lucy though, so it wasn't like a random resident. It was the person she was
It was
looking
Lucy,
for.
the person she didn't sense, right? She didn't sense her, still decided to attack. She then ran away and was like, I can't believe no one believes me. She never said her part of the story.
That'd be like if I saw someone that looked exactly like you, and I went up and I was like, "Yo, what's up, Christian?" And then it wasn't actually you. It's like, well, I thought it was you. So
That's different. That's different. That's different. Now, say say I stole your watch. I'm just walking around the street, and you're like, oh, that's Christian that stole my watch. Would you come out and all of a sudden hit me with an elbow out of nowhere? Be
I wouldn't hit you with an elbow if you stole my watch.
all right, but like,
You would elbow me if I stole
no.
a watch from.
I was saying though, if okay, hold on, let me think. Someone random like stole your watch, but you're able to see his face, and then now you're out in public and you see that person standing in Walmart. Would you go up there and tackle them to get your watch back?
Potentially, I don't know.
I don't think you would do. I think you'd be like, "Oh shit, let me call the cops. This is the guy. Let me let me go to the law enforcement." Or like, actually, you would do your due diligence to make sure that the guy you saw steal your watch is the one that.
I think I would only contact law enforcement if there was like no other resolution or someone's life depended on it. So I think I would try and resolve the issue myself, or if it was an issue that I knew that I couldn't resolve myself, then I would get the cops involved. But I would probably try and approach this person first rather than just call the cops.
That's true. Okay, well, say you approach this person.
Like
Uh,
if I got in a car accident, like that's a situation I know that you need law enforcement to resolve. So I would do that. But if it was a situation where I thought it could be resolved on my own and no one's life was at risk, like if I saw someone get like shot and they were bleeding, I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm gonna try and resolve this on my own. I would get the cops involved. But in the situation you presented, I think it's probably easier if I just did it on my own.
all right, so you would walk up to that person. You just start swinging on them because you thought they stole your watch, Or
I would say, give me my watch back. I wouldn't start swinging first.
exactly, exactly. And that's what I wanted Nana to do. She should have showed up. Hey, is that Lucy? Or hey, who is this
This
person? No,
person chopped her limbs off, though.
she doesn't know that. She doesn't censor. She has no evidence provided that like. Oh, actually, all right. This is another thing. Let's say 5-year-old kid steals your watch. Actually, 5-year-old kid steals your phone. You know where your phone's at. You think you saw the kid take it out of your cart at Walmart. You're walking around, and then you see 5-year-old kid hang. You see the 5-year-old kid holding hands with the parents. Looks like that he might have your phone in his hand. Do you run up to that 5-year-old kid, haymaker him, and take the phone back?
No, I would like talk to the parents.
Or you would talk to the parents, right?
I'd be like, I think your kid took my phone.
And I think that's what Nana should have did. She should have been like, hey, look, uh, even though I don't sense her, that girl has killed multiple people. I think she's the one I'm going after. I'm gonna need to like take her in. No, what she did would have been the equivalent of you just like drop kicking the 5-year-old, grabbing your phone, and then running away, and then expect the parents to understand why you did that.
I think it'd be equivalent to like, I saw someone murder one of my friends, and then he got away. And then I see this guy like dating a girl that I'm friends with, and they're like hanging out in the park. And I would have to act quickly. I'd be like, yo, that guy's a murderer. Shouldn't be hanging out with him. But instead of explaining that, I would probably act immediately. Because I already know this dude's a murderer. I feel like that's a more equivalent example.
Is that more equivalent because
She wanted to make sure no one else got hurt by Lucy, so she sees Lucy with 3 people that are innocent around her. She's like, yo, I gotta take Lucy out now. Because Lucy is capable of just splitting people in half like that. So she's like, if I don't act with that same reaction speed, it might be too late.
wait, no. Take that example, but say when like I guess when he killed your friend, he had black hair. Now when you see him in the park hanging out with a girlfriend, actually, yeah. So say the dude murdered your friend, you kind of like saw his face, and then like a week later you see him hanging out with like 2 girls at the park, and he
Your example is already not equivalent because you said kind of saw his face. Like Nana knows exactly what Lucy looks like.
But the thing is though, she's still unsure because she doesn't sense Lucy. So it's still like there's just still a doubt in her mind. She doesn't know 100% sure because she obviously uses her power to censor. And they're like, yeah. But
I feel like that would be like if you saw someone always holding a basketball, you know exactly what their face is, but you see them always holding a basketball, and then you see them not holding a basketball.
It's exactly what it is. We saw it like at the end of the series when everyone was like, "Hey, number 35, kill Lucy," and then she was like, "What are you talking about? That's not Lucy. I don't sense her." And they're like, "That's definitely Lucy. Kill her." No, it's not. No, it's bro. It's pink hair and horns. Like, what do you mean? That's clearly Lucy. You might not be able to sense her, but that's still Lucy. It's exactly like that. So we have to apply that to the show. Yeah, this girl has horns. She has pink hair. It's obvious that she's Lucy, at least to us, the audience. But Nana still has some doubts because she can't sense her using her powers. So this is like if you saw the guy murder your friend, he has black hair. You saw him in the park, he now has blonde hair and he's hanging out with like 3 or 4 other people, just chilling there playing on the basketball court. Now, do you just go over there and tackle him in the middle of the basketball game and say, hey guys, get away, he's a murderer? Or
if I was confident that was him, then yes. And Nana was confident that was Lucy, so she acted.
Exactly. Now, my thing is, you're confident, even though he has blonde hair, he's not playing basketball. You tackled him in the middle of the basketball game, 5-on-5. Now, what do you expect the other 9 people to do?
I mean,
they're all his friends. All 9 people are his friends on the on the basketball court.
Yeah, I'm not debating on like what Kota, Yuka, and Mayu's reactions were. Yeah, I expect those people to probably defend that guy, but I don't think that makes Nana in the wrong.
Oh no, my thing with Nana was like when she left and ran away, she was like, "Yo, I can't believe they didn't believe me." but she gave no reason for the people to
I
believe her and
I think
attack
that
her.
goes back to my first point of her just being in that lab. She doesn't really know like how people react, how their emotions work. She doesn't know any of this. So I give her a pass on all these things.
No, you can't be giving her passes if she was smart enough to like know where to find Lucy, start attacking her as soon as she sees her. She's
She's been in society for like a week. If she's been in society for like a year, like yeah, she should have learned some stuff by then. But she's really just been in society for
no, no, no.
like a week. She don't know nothing.
She may be innocent, she may be dumb, but she's not. She doesn't. She's not like mentally incapacitated. She should be able to understand like some things. Like I don't think she deserves a pass for strolling up to this residence and then starts attacking somebody she perceives to be Lucy.
Well, we might just agree to disagree on this point as well, because I pretty much just agreeing to disagree on all points. Nana, you're trying to press me on her, but
Yes,
I'm
she
gonna always back her up.
bottom three character.
Well, there was only like maybe 5 or 6 characters in the show.
Nah, there was a bunch of characters. There was like 8 or 9.
Well, that mattered.
You see, what that mattered? Coda, Mayu, Bando, Lucy. I would say arguably uh, Coda's father and sister. Reason why he
Mm,
ain't amnesia. Can't say they didn't matter. Um, but according to your point, that dog and those boys from the past, because that's what set her to like wanting to attack these like these humans. So we're looking at like 9 right there. Then you
so
got
you're saying Nana's lower than like those guys that were attacking the dog? So she's bottom 3. There was like three young boys and that girl who pretended to be Lucy's friend. That's 4 people. You saying she's lower than all them? Because you said she's bottom 3. So if those,
yeah, you know what? I give those boys a pass. You know why? They probably never owned a puppy before. They didn't know how to take care of it. So
what?
yeah, exactly. They didn't like it's just like money.
I've never had a pet iguana. I'm not gonna like rip off its tongue and its tail.
Hey, well look, like you said, she never seen money before. She didn't know where to spend it or how to use it. These
All
guys,
right.
you guys never had a puppy before. They thought what you had to do with it was smack it with a vase. Maybe that was her first instinct.
I can't even debate you on that point.
Oh, you can't debate me on that because it's exactly like her taking this money and throwing it into the fire.
I don't think those are comparable at all because when she's throwing the paper money into the fire, she's not killing another life force.
She's destroying an object, is she not?
So a dog is equivalent to money.
No, no, a dog is technically an object. Is it not an object?
Or then aren't we technically objects?
We are technically objects.
So if I were to just murder someone versus if I were to like ruin my own money, it's like the same thing.
It's not the same thing. Like, so there's different variables. It's like if you cut somebody's arm off, it's like different than cutting the arm of a chicken, right? But the action is still the same. There's just different levels of the action. Like you can murder somebody, and then you can also behead somebody. Like the end result is someone being murdered, but just different ways to do it. So these guys, they destroyed the puppy like she destroyed the money. Now, where that falls on the scale, like obviously destroying the puppy is a lot worse. But you should give these guys a pass because they probably didn't know how to take care of a puppy.
Um, I'm just gonna change the subject. We've had a pretty long episode about a short anime. I did remember one question that we were talking about before the show. Maybe we can talk about it quickly.
What's that?
Uh, the which like vector power would you want? Like, because Lucy seemed to like have one of the strongest, but she had the shortest range. It was like only 2 meters. Nana's was a little bit longer of a range, but had it was weaker than Lucy's. And then number 35, Mariko, she had like tons of arms or invisible arms, which are the vectors, and had a massive range, but then she couldn't walk. She was in that wheelchair.
That makes me wonder. I should look more into it. Obviously, they probably wouldn't even have an answer to that question. But that being
Wait,
said,
where did she walk when she originally got released and killed that girl? I think it was like Psycho or something. The girl that was pretending to be her mom. Was she walking then?
I think she was trying to walk, but she fell down.
Okay.
Like she
Or
fell out of
maybe,
the wheelchair, and that's when the like the nurse got like was holding her. But that was like it begs my question. That was about to
which I
ask.
don't even know why they released her. That guy was like, I knew this would happen.
I mean,
I
for
know, I was like, I knew that would happen too. Like, why did? As soon as I have no idea why they were trying to introduce her at all. Like, why did they think bringing another? They're trying to capture Lucy, who's a Diclonius. They're trying to capture her.
Mhm.
So they bring in Nana, another Diclonius, but at least you can like trust her. I feel like you actually can trust Nana with this mission. Okay, so now there's two Diclonius out there running amok. Let's just throw a third one in the mix.
I mean, have you ever heard of fight fire with fire? In some cases, sometimes it works.
Yeah, but if you're trying to put out a fire and you bring
You're
in
trying to put
three
out the fire,
fires,
trying to capture the fire.
you fight fire with fire with fire. I feel like
Well, so you just
this reminds me. I don't know. You probably haven't. You might have seen this show. I don't know if you watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I've seen some of it.
Well, there's an episode where they get a cat stuck in the wall. So what they do is they tie a string to another cat and put another cat in the wall, and then the cat just gets out of the string, and then they have two cats in the wall. And then they eventually, this is in Dee's apartment, the girl, and then
Mhm.
eventually they put tons of cats in that wall, and then they just leave her alone, and Dee's stuck with that problem, and then they're like, Dee, you need to get some friends to like help you with this. Like, we're gonna go. This is why you need friends. Like, we're gonna go. So then she has like all these cats like stuck in her wall.
But in retrospect, I mean, obviously the smart thing would be like to take down the wall to get the cat out. But practically speaking, getting that first cat to befriend a cat
She
that's in
tries
the
to
wall.
do that. She tries to rip a hole in the wall, and she goes into the wall, and then she just gets overrun with the cats. So I
Yeah,
feel like it's
but
equivalent.
the
Like you're
first cat. I mean,
introducing all these Diclonius, and then you're just gonna get overrun with them. To when they probably will destroy mankind because you're just letting them all loose.
no. But what they wanted to do, they had like 35 bombs in her, so like obviously she had to obey. Um, but it's like they were going to take this huge fire and then just surround the smaller fire in the middle and capture that fire.
All right, but which power would you want?
Oh, that was going to be my original question. Is I wonder because you said she was captured, like she didn't have no like contact with the outside world. They kept her like face covered. I was wondering if
Who was captured?
number 35. Oh, like she didn't have any she didn't have any contact with the outside world. Had a bandage over her face, and she was like tied up the entire time, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if she couldn't walk because her Beckers are so powerful, or is it because she never had the opportunity to learn how to walk? Like if they just kept their street jacket up, she never walked. She like stood in the place of the
Well,
only.
let's assume that she's like so powerful that it was like a downside to her not being able to walk was like a downside to her power.
Then
So would you want to be like all powerful and crippled? Would you want to have like longer range but be weaker, or would you want to have shorter range but be stronger, but not the strongest?
I'm taking number 35. What about you?
Uh,
I'll give my reason for taking number 35.
I think I still think I might go with Nana. I might just back her up this whole podcast because I feel like her not being as strong if you rely on like your intellect, like if you have like a Shikamaru type intellect, I feel like you can strategize more with the longer range and having mobility. The 35 didn't have any mobility. She had massive range but no mobility.
Yes. Well,
So I like the range more than the power, and then also just being able to keep my legs.
well, then 35 has a longer range, anyways.
Yeah, but she couldn't keep her legs.
That's true. That's true. Which, thank goodness, I'll have like 35's power with the Shimar intellect. Tell you why. First off, you remember when Lucy and Nana like faced each other, right? Like Lucy came out on top. And
Yeah, Nana just got destroyed by everyone, but I feel like if she was a little bit smarter, she could have.
yeah, she did, but she got destroyed. She had her limbs taken off. Um, I don't know if you caught it, but
I feel
she
like
was
if she never got close to Lucy, she could have just kept like jabbing at her, like you. We talk about Floyd Mayweather, like just keep doing it, dance around, throwing the jabs.
It's true. Did you catch the part about her exploiting the prosthetics to Mayu?
Doing what?
Did you catch the part about her explaining her limbs to Mayu?
Oh
When
yeah, yeah.
she said that yeah, that actually happened. I use my vectors to control my hands and my arms. That's all I needed to know. I take number 35's power, chop off my own legs. I get the prosthetic limbs that Nana has, and I'm controlling my legs with the range. Now that was over. Everyone's done for.
Yeah, actually, I would swap over, and I'd agree. If that's something you could do, then yeah, definitely.
I'm coming straight with this Shikamaru intellect. I'm like, she just never had an opportunity to get those legs.
Because she had like 30 arms, so she could definitely like sacrifice 2 of them just to operate her legs the whole time.
Exactly, it's over. Like I'm taking out everybody. The only downside that I didn't like was they actually saw the vectors since she was so powerful.
Nana was somehow able to turn off her vectors just by poking her in the forehead. I don't know if you could do that to other people. Maybe that's a weakness of hers as well, is that she's so powerful that she can't control it and her vectors can be turned off or something.
Yeah, because she was just like, okay, they're not coming out anymore. But I will take that 2 hours of vulnerability, like Inuyasha with turning into a human at like the full moon or the new moon, whatever it's called. I would take that period of vulnerability in order to have like a massive amount of arms so I can use them.
No, I would swap back to Nana potentially if I couldn't have the power all the time.
Well, it looks like it only lasts like an hour or two. Like you're
Then
not
that's that hour or two. That's when you're gonna get taken out
nah. Um,
unless you hide.
I'm definitely gonna hide, and then as soon as you find me, oh, time's
That,
out.
that, that that's your answer to everything. You're gonna do the hiding diary and future diary.
Only need to last an hour. Just come out the cut, and I'm just ready to go.
You're gonna do the Gios canceller so you can hide and
Yeah,
just cancel Gios's.
you have to hit him to survive.
And Christian's the hide and seek champ.
Yeah, who do you think has a more enjoyable life? Like Shikamaru that strategizes and stays behind the lines, or Naruto who gets like taken apart by pain, taken apart by Madara, taken apart by Kaguya, taken apart almost by Zabuza. Like I think there's a recurring theme. Whereas Shikamaru, yeah, Asuma died,
But I feel like the power you chose is more equivalent to a Naruto than a Shikamaru because you're choosing all the strength.
but with my intellect. And then but like Naruto, it's just Kurama doesn't like turn off. He has it with him the entire time. It it'd be more, because he's limited on how much he can use the Sharingan because his body isn't Uchiha's body.
Which character?
Kakashi,
Uh,
because he doesn't have a Uchiha body, therefore he can't use the Sharingan as much. So choosing like that power for that short period of time is similar to choosing Kakashi's power.
okay. Well, that
Yeah.
works. We can jump into the rating now. I forget what I gave Batum. I think I gave Batum around a 7. I think this anime is like a half step ahead of Batum.
So I think I have Batum like a 7.5. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna have to give Elfen Lied a 6.5, 6.75.
Whatever I gave Batum, it's like a tick above that. So if I gave Batum like a 7, I would say this is like 7.1. Like I would rank it ahead of that. Well, regardless of what I gave Batum, I think I would give it like a 7.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's worth watching. Not the best anime I've ever seen, but like I enjoyed it. I wouldn't be like if someone hasn't seen it and wanted me to watch it with them, I would watch it again. So I think it's pretty good. I would recommend it.
Boy, Batum or Elfen Lied.
I would recommend both of them.
So I would have to give Elfen Lied 6.75. Um, unfortunately, I cannot recommend it unless unless you have unless you have like seen like quite a few anime, but unless you genuinely enjoy watching anime. If you're a first anime watcher, I definitely would have recommended just because of the amount of gore and it is kind of like gritty. I would say it's darker than Death Note. Like there's definitely it is definitely a 2004 type anime. So if you are a dark-minded, sadistic person, you might enjoy it. I would recommend it then. Um, if you're trying to get into anime, but if you generally like more happier type anime, I would not recommend it.
Well, I agree with that. I'm just saying overall, I thought it was pretty good. I guess if you put it in context, like if you are searching for this type of anime, uh, like a happy, like maybe like some romance, like something like that, like an adventure type show, like maybe this isn't the one, but I thought it was good. And if you like anime, I think it would be a good one to check out.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like I guess it would depend. If I wouldn't overall recommend it to everybody, but I would recommend it to like a specific niche set of people. Um,
Well, when I get my recommendations, I guess I'm not saying I'm just saying like I enjoyed it, so I would recommend someone watch it.
I'm, so I'm saying that I enjoyed it, but if I had to compare it, like Naruto is something I would recommend to like everybody, no matter what. Um, or I'm trying to think of another good one. Uh, like Mirai
Samurai
Nikki.
Champloo.
Yeah, Samurai Shampoo is something I would recommend to like nobody, no matter what specific type of anime they like. But for me, Elfen Lied, you have to like a specific type of anime in order for me to like recommend that to you. Um,
I get that.
so like the Death Note like teeters on that edge just because it's more like a psychological thriller. Um, but I think it's something I could like recommend to everybody. But this one, unless you like specifically don't mind gory anime or you don't mind like something that's like kind of gritty, um, then I would recommend it. But if that's something that like there is like a I think a warning that comes with it where I'm like, yo, if you don't like that type of stuff, you're most likely not going to like it. And based on like what we talked about, like the first 10 minutes of the episode, it definitely comes out the gate like swinging, not afraid to show you what type of anime it is.
Yeah, that's everything you need to know. If you get past the first 10 minutes, then you can
And
stick around for the whole ride.
yeah, a little bit of comedy in there. I like my dude Bando just because he was a comedy type person.
He wasn't trying to give up his nuts no matter what. I don't care if it's helping mankind. Like
Most respect to him. Although, did this show what happened to him at the end?
uh, uh, didn't Lucy like beat him down again? And it was like pretty much like don't come after me again. And then he was like shit because he got beat by her twice.
I think so, but I thought he popped up in a scene after that. Or maybe he didn't. Maybe that was just the end of it because like he had lost his arm again.
Yeah, he just got beat down. He
It was.
wasn't
Oh, go
he,
ahead.
he wasn't better than the Diclonius.
He wasn't. I did think it was funny how he was beating up Mayu, and then so held the number up, and she was like, "Pick it up on me."
Yeah, he's like if anyone's ever beaten you up, give me a call. And then he starts smashing her.
So I did like that. I thought that part was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think they didn't really do anything with him after that. I think he should have been part of the final battle.
I mean, he was there. He just got smashed by Lucy, just like everybody else.
He could have been like, "Yo, number 35, I see you." I thought that would have been good thing to put into it. But
you want to tell them what we're watching next week?
Yes. Moving on to next week, Darling in the Franxx. Now that is something that I can recommend to people if they really enjoy romance. This is definitely at the top of the list. But I'll be rewatching Darling in the Franxx. Matt will be watching it for the first time. think it's a very good anime, very story driven. So it's very if you like storytelling, you'll enjoy this one.
Yep. So join us next week, and we'll have that to talk about.
Anime Bros out. You know.